Welcome to this week's Fireside Chat with Jesse. I'm joined today by John Gougeon, President of Unifi Equipment Finance. Thanks for joining me, John.
Hey Jesse, I'm glad to be able to hang out with the cool kids.
Uh, it's great to have you on the program, sir. I know we've been in communication for a little while trying to get you on here. So looking forward to learning more about your story and your journey to Unify, John. So for those individuals who haven't had the pleasure of meeting you, do you mind just kind of introducing yourself and your career to date in equipment finance?
Sure, I've been around equipment finance for quite a while. Going back to the late 1980s. I started with a company called Lease First, which was a subsidiary of Maryland National Bank, and from there I moved on to the National Bank of Detroit and Heller Financial. So there's an interesting pattern there. None of those companies exist any longer, but I had nothing to do with that. I was part. I was part of GE Capital after GE acquired Heller. Um, my tenure at Heller included running global the client services group for global vendor finance, and GE retained me as the operations leader for their express financial services group, predominantly small ticket. I had responsibility. So my responsibilities with Heller were on the back end of the business. So Friday, I was running the back end. Monday morning, I was the ops leader with responsibilities for documentation. I ran a micro ticket sales team. So my responsibilities shifted to the front end, and it gave me a pretty good flavor for all of the working parts of an equipment finance company. Um, Spent about 3 years with GE, and Jim McGrain, who had been the president of Heller Global Vendor Finance, reached out and said that he wanted to get the band back together and start a new company, and he asked me to be a part of it. So I was part of the team that launched US Express Leasing out in Parsippany, New Jersey. It was McGrain, Jeff Hilzinger, Dennis Stopakowski. Uh, I spent the better part of 3 years commuting from the metropolitan Detroit area to Parsippany, and saw that through its launch. Uh, the company was really positioned for acquisition, and what started out as theoretically a remote opportunity developed into something that required more and more of my time in New Jersey. And so we decided to part as friends. I left the company and went to work for Iron Planet in a sales role, selling Iron Planet's capabilities back into the same group of asset managers that I had come to know over the prior 15 years or so of my career. Uh, Had a good run with Iron Planet, but I always knew, Jesse, that I wanted to be on this side of the desk. So I knew that at some point I'd move back over. And in 2014, I went to work for Bank of America. And while at B of A, I ran the valuations team. I had responsibilities from ranging from business banking all the way up to large corporate. So, deal sizes from $25,000 up to hundreds of millions of dollars. Uh, from B of A, I went to join the team that was starting the relaunch of what was formerly known as Nations Equipment Finance, which is now SLR Equipment Finance out in Wilton, Connecticut. And did that for a couple of years. And then I got a phone call about this opportunity in my own backyard in Ann Arbor, Michigan. It was too good to pass up. So left SLR to join Unifi.
Perfect. And one more question on your background. How did you get into equipment finance?
It's a great question. So I mentioned Lease First. This was late 1980s. I was in my early 20s, and Lease First was a company that kind of branched off of Dana Commercial Credit. The leadership split, and the team that started Lease First was building something new. Uh, they were hiring a bunch of young people, and a placement person asked me if I'd be interested in talking to this company. And they had an opportunity for an asset manager. Who knew what an asset manager was back in 1987? Uh, Interestingly enough, my first day on the job, I walked in from the parking lot with my new boss, and she asked me if I was excited about my first day. I said I was. She said, "That's great. You have a lot to learn, and you have 2 weeks to learn it because the person you were hired to assist just resigned." So I became the asset management guy. I was 23 years old, and this is right when the industry had changed, and more reliance was placed on asset management. Um, there was a reliance on actually realizing the value of the end of term asset as opposed to a 10% fixed purchase price or guaranteed 10% buyout. Uh, so I had come into it right at the right time, and we pretty quickly became a profit center for the company. In fact, pardon me, when Maryland National decided to close down the business, they kept us on board to run off the portfolio because we were so profitable on the back end.
All right. Well, that's a great segue into equipment finance, right? It's
Yeah, yeah.
fantastic. And then, just hitting on a couple points you mentioned there, you know, was leasing the Hotel California. Once you get out, you want to come back in. So,
Yeah,
so John, thank you for the introduction. I know we were talking about, U.S. Express leasing. What was interesting is when Jim McGrain and company, yourself included, started that. It was one of the fastest growing entities at the time, right? And
yes,
people were all like at conferences, like, "What are you doing? What is so
yeah,
special? Like, how are you
yeah,
growing this so fast?" And the skepticism around that was interesting. I mean, I got in the industry in 2005,
yeah,
so that was I didn't know some of the history from before, but
yeah.
you guys definitely assembled the A squad there, yourself included, to grow that.
It was a great experience. And to your point, Jesse, again, I was traveling. It started out once a month, a week a month, then escalated. And it seemed that every time I'd get back to town, there'd be another dozen people that I didn't know. Right. So, I was employee number 6. And I think when I left, we had 124 people. It was pretty meteoric growth. And,
Absolutely insane.
some of the top names in the business, right?
Yeah, a lot of them were there. I mean, I was fortunate to have them as a client at OSG when I was there, so we did their
Oh, sure.
invoice
Yeah.
outsourcing. But every time I go down to Parsippany, the big Donna, I dealt with Donna Walsh and
Oh,
Dennis,
yeah. It's
and I'm
great.
like,
Yeah.
like this room keeps getting bigger
Yeah.
by the day. Like, what's
Yeah.
going on?
I
But
remember I remember a lunch we had in the very early going before we had cubes. We all sat on folding chairs in a big circle and ate pizza, talking about what it's going to be like in a month or two. I think that was just before we started funding in June of 2004. Yeah, it was a great run. And I mean, it's still operating. It became Tigris and then Everbank, then TIA. Now it's back to Everbank. They still use my original policy that I wrote way back then, which is
hey,
crazy. Yeah.
nice, nice. That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
Good policy. Good policy
Yeah.
there.
Right. Right.
John, I'm going to switch gears a little bit here and talk about Unifi Equipment Finance.
Sure.
So you mind just kind of introducing the organization?
Yeah, so Unifi Equipment Finance was formerly Irvin Leasing. They had been around since the early 1970s, owned by Irvin Industries. Bank of Ann Arbor acquired Irvin in 2013, and they went through a rebranding exercise and came up with the name Unifi. I think at the point that the bank acquired the company, The portfolio was less than $25 million. Irvin had been a small ticket IT copier shop for the most part. They were a generalist, but their portfolio was largely IT copier. Uh, the company grew over time, so that by the time I joined the company, the portfolio was just a shade under 250 million. Uh, you know, we're a generalist as well, but we kind of fine-tuned to the markets that we service. We're primarily aligned with the construction industry, vocational trucks, towing. We do quite a bit in woodworking and CNC machine tools. Um, you know, we shifted from a truly small ticket. I think the average deal size was about 75,000 when I started. I think we've got that up to about 140,000 now, so almost double. So kind of pushing it up towards that lower middle market. Um, and we kind of tailed off on our acquisition of wholesale paper, focused on our own originations, maintaining our broker relationships, building that out, and of course, servicing the bank customers.
Perfect. And I know the tenure of individuals at that organization, is very long, John. So I'm sure that kind of made the stepping in to that role
Yeah,
very, I guess, a little easier.
yeah, I was blessed to join a group of very, very talented people that know the business inside and out. It seems that every month or two we're celebrating another 30th or 32nd anniversary. It really is a terrific team. Um, you know, we've seen some really great growth. I think before I joined, our run rate was right around 100 million a year. The first year here, we did about 143 million in volume. Last year, we did just a shade under 170. I told the team I didn't do anything special. They're like a thoroughbred. I just opened the gate and let them run, right? So yeah, it's no magic.
So path to 200 then, I guess, right?
Yeah, exactly. Hopeful.
Yeah, yeah. That's great. And then you guys are in Ann Arbor. Do you have any remote employees, or pretty much everyone there on site?
No, everyone's in Ann Arbor. So Bank of Ann Arbor has been around for 30 years now. Very concentrated on serving the community, the Ann Arbor community. We like to employ people in this community. Um, Kind of it's part of the name. And we just happen to be next to one of the finest higher education facilities in the country, right?
Sure,
Yeah.
sure. A little colder than here in Arizona, but
Yeah, just a
yeah,
just a touch.
just
Yeah.
just
It
just
was
a little bit.
Jesse, I'm not kidding. It was actually snowing yesterday. So yeah.
Sorry, that's in bad taste.
Yeah.
But well, excellent. Well, thanks for sharing that, John. So, when you got that call, well, I'm glad I'm getting to know you a little bit more. I didn't realize I wasn't sure if you were in Connecticut at SLR, then moving back or not. So
Yeah.
stars kind of did align because it's right in your backyard, um,
Yeah.
in Michigan. And I guess from an asset management, and you've run teams before, right, as
Yeah.
an operator. What's it like kind of running an entire organization?
Yeah. So I've run small teams, I've run large teams. My team at Heller was about 100 people. Uh, you know, High volume. I think at B of A, my group looked at $12 billion worth of business a year. Um, so, very high volume shop, different pace. Um, you know, having full P&L responsibility, being able to put my thumbprint on the business and grow it is a great opportunity. It absolutely helps that I've got a team that wanted to grow and wanted to run. And like I told them from the very start, this is a leap of faith, right? I'm putting my faith in the team and I'm asking them to put their faith in me. And if we believe in each other and believe in the team, we can get to where we all want to be. So I've learned some lessons along the way, but the biggest lesson I've learned is to trust the team. I'm a huge proponent of resident expertise, right? Take Danielle Patty, our director of operations, as an example. Incidentally, Danielle and I worked together at U.S. Express Leasing 20 something years ago. My
Yeah.
my first day on the job, I walked in and I said, "Hey, I know you." I hadn't seen her in years, but Danielle runs the ops team, our vendor services group, and she's probably forgotten more about the operations process than I'll ever know. But what I do know is I've got Danielle on my team.
Sure.
uh, same holds true for Tony McHugh. He's got a great credit mind. Uh, he runs our credit and portfolio group. Uh, and my role is to help them in their roles, and trust the team. So, so far it's a mix that's worked pretty well.
Sure. Absolutely. It's a good leadership style too. And, you let them run, you give them space, and, obviously, you see how that works and then you go from there.
Well, and the other thing too, it's culture. My little Italian mother told me, Johnny, you got to make your own happiness, right? Culture is not something that anyone can hand you, right? Culture is something that you create. And very honestly, Jesse, we laugh every day. I mean, we enjoy each other's company. There's no rule that says you can't have fun while you're working, right? I spend the majority of my time with these people. I better enjoy it. So, from a cultural standpoint, someone's got a 15-second dance party button on their desk, and we do a dance party in the VSR section. It's
We'll have to get a little video clip of this. I mean,
Yeah,
15
that's not going
seconds
to
is just
happen.
enough for a TikTok video. Come on, let's go.
But I'm a big culture guy, and I think we've got the right culture here, and we're all kind of pulling in the same direction.
Perfect. Perfect. So 7 years at Iron Planet, then drug you back into equipment finance. What is so special about this industry, John, and what keeps gravitating people back to it?
Well, I'm gonna go back to a comment you made earlier about people getting into leasing and equipment finance, and actually some of the challenges that we face as an industry attracting young talent. Nobody graduates from school saying, "I want to be a leasing guy," right? They want to be investment bankers or Wall Street traders. Uh, but honestly, it's a fantastic industry, fantastic people. I worked for the National Bank of Detroit, NBD Equipment Finance, National Bank of Detroit Equipment Finance, and the person I reported to had been on the bank side in bank audit for 15 years. I took him to what was then an ELA event out in your neck of the woods, down in Tucson, La Paloma, and he couldn't understand how we were all so friendly and how we all talked to each other and we seemed to know each other, and what a community there was in leasing, because the banks didn't operate that way.
Sure.
If you were at a bank, you weren't allowed to talk to the other banker. um, it's a great community, that looks out for each other. And any young person that is interested in finance, uh, this could be a fantastic career path for you. I've been in the industry 35 plus years, and there's a home for you somewhere.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, as I mentioned before we hit record, I did a ELFA Campus to Careers
Yep.
presentation last night, and we had 35 business students in the class. And
Yeah,
it was
that's
great.
great.
It was 2 hours, and they had a lot of questions. And that was one of the things that the professor brought up, where he's like, everyone's investment banking, Wall Street, very
Right.
sexy, and yeah, you can hit some good bonus potential there. But equipment finance, when you pull up the stats, $1.2 trillion industry, and it's very steady.
Right.
So when you look at the tenure of the individuals, including myself, that were given this presentation, you had people in the industry for 30 years, 20 years, 10 years, started off lower level, and they gradually just kept doing a good job, learning more and everything else. So it was good. It was just nice
Yeah.
to, but I think there's some schools now. So ASU, Fred Vanette, I don't know if you know that, actually started a partnership with the ELFA and ASU.
Yeah. That's
So,
great. Yeah.
and I think North Texas does it too. But like to your point, I'm sure Michigan doesn't have, you know, they have a
If
business
not, I'll
school,
look into that.
obviously. And,
Yeah.
hey,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Well, and I think there's also another theme that we maybe don't talk enough about. There's a there's an honesty and a richness to knowing that you're helping small business. That the lending decisions we make help small businesses launch, helps small businesses grow. Uh, we have customers, Unifi, that are on their 14th, 15th schedule with us, and we know the owners, we know their fleet. There's something admirable about that. I guarantee you don't get that in investment banking, right? Or trading stocks on Wall Street. So,
No, no, it's what have you done for me lately? And
right.
that was one of the draws, many draws to this industry for me. It was all relationships,
Yep.
right? Relationship
Yep.
building, you do a good job. It's not
Yes.
always going to be perfect, but we're human. Things happen.
Yep.
All right, well, that's great points, John. Thank you for that. And then,
Sure.
I guess from a 2026 perspective, we're almost 3 full months into the year. Uh, Rates just were held again. How are you kind of seeing, the rest of this year playing out?
So I guess sticking with the Wall Street analogy, right? There's an old adage that the markets hate uncertainty, and it seems like we've been living in an uncertain environment for the past couple of years. Uh, it's difficult to prognosticate what the remainder of 2026 looks like when you can't really say what the end of next week looks like, what quarter end will look like. Um, I think about going back to the election year 2024. There was a great deal of uncertainty in that year, but the election almost served as a safety valve, right? Regardless of who won in November, the money that had sat on the sidelines was going to find its way back into the market after the election. And we saw that. I think we had our biggest month ever, December of 24. November was a good month. December was a good month. Post election, we kind of expected that momentum to carry over. And then we were faced with a global trade war and unilateral tariffs. So the uncertainty came back into the marketplace. This year with the war in Iran, it creates a whole different level of uncertainty on a global scale. And even though it's a global scale, we feel it intimately. We've had transportation deals that have been taken off the table because the owner operator has seen his diesel fuel costs escalate and can't afford that new truck that he wanted to purchase. Um, and unfortunately, there was no safety valve in 2025. We do have elections later this year. I don't know what kind of a safety valve that presents, but
Or
uncertainty rules the day.
it's a great point, right? I mean, transportation is cyclical as it is, right,
Yeah,
from an industry. But you throw in, I mean, I looked at the gas the other day. It's like, what? It's like,
yeah,
what is going on? Fortunately, I mean, fortunately, unfortunately, I Lucids are made here in Arizona. I don't know if you've
yeah.
seen those or they have them up
Oh,
there,
beautiful.
but they're
Yeah,
amazing cars, and I've had one for 2 years. So I sit there and I'm
yeah,
like, that sucks.
yeah, yeah. Well, I'm from Detroit, so we like our
Hey,
GMs and Fords.
I get it. It's gospel up there. My apologies, but
Yeah.
yeah,
The
yeah.
Lucid Air is
So,
a beautiful car. No, there's something to be said about stability, and I guess the bright silver lining, Jesse, is that at the end of the day, we do finance the small business of America, and you know, businesses will always need equipment. We're here to finance that. So we try to maintain stability in the marketplace. You see that in the way we approach our pricing and our rates. We try to eliminate as much variation and variability as we can. Uh, we're kind of a safe harbor. Um, so again, the silver lining is that business requires equipment, and the industry is here to support that.
well, in over 30 years in the industry, you've been through cycles a handful of times.
I
So,
have.
it's could be a lot worse. Up until what, a couple of years ago, this was the only trajectory that some of these people who have only been in for a decade less have seen.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
natural evolution.
right.
Thank you for sharing that. The next question I have is kind of like the trade associations. So I think our paths first crossed at the equipment management conference last year in Vegas. Is when I think you and I finally met each other face to face. How has the ELFA and NEFA kind of supported you throughout your career, John?
Yeah, it's a great question, and I I guess I'd say I've been a member of the ELFA, ELFA since 1990. My God, am I old? Uh, I've developed both professional relationships and personal friendships through my involvement with the ELFA. I've got a group of buddies that I reach out to for guidance that I've known for years and years. I'm even going to see Rush with three other guys from the industry that I
Oh,
met, through the ELFA. Going to see Rush this summer. Um,
fantastic.
I spent 15 years on the equipment management committee, and now I'm the chairperson of the small business steering committee. And the people you meet, the people you're exposed to, uh, there's no comparison to the quality and level of relationships you can develop through the ELFA.
Yeah, I mean they foster the environments for networking, sharing education. Like you said, I mean, some of my closest friends that I have are people that I've met through this industry over the last 2 decades.
Yeah, yeah.
Perfect. Uh, so I'm going to lighten it up a little bit, John, if you don't mind. I ask everyone who comes on the program to give me a fun fact about themselves. So,
Okay.
what do you enjoy doing outside of work?
Well, I love my family. Been married for 37 years, and I have three
Congratulations.
beautiful daughters. I will tell you the fun fact is I delivered all three of my daughters. I
Oh,
actually performed. You have a look of shock on your face.
no, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I have two kids. I didn't deliver either of them. That's phenomenal.
No, I
So,
was, getting back to our theme that nobody sets out to be in the leasing industry. I wanted
yeah.
to be a pediatrician. Here I am.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
My wife and I went through a midwife program through a local hospital organization, and at the last minute, the midwife asked me if I'd like to perform the delivery of our first daughter, Megan, and we didn't know what we were having. I said I'd
Okay.
absolutely love to, and I just did what the midwife instructed. So it was pretty clinical, and the first
Okay.
thing I did was when she came out was flip her over to see what we got. Right. Um, with our second with our second
That's great.
daughter, yeah, with our second daughter Emma, I knew going in that I would perform the delivery, and it was very emotional. I was crying like a baby. Again, we didn't know what we were getting, so that was a surprise.
Okay.
And by the time our Jesse came along, it was old hat, and but again, we were pleasantly surprised with our third daughter.
That's fantastic. I don't
Yeah.
know if I could. I don't know if I could do that.
So the thing I think about most, Jesse, mine was the first face they saw. My hands were the first hands they touched. You know, I'm forever bonded, and I'm so proud of my girls. They're all just strong, independent women, uh, and we share a bond that will never be broken, and it started right there. So
That's awesome. And are
yeah,
they all in Michigan still, or any of them
they
just
are.
back out of
Yep,
the
all
state?
three.
Okay.
And breaking news, I'm going to be a grandfather come September for the first time. So excited about that too.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's awesome. Now, did any of them? I didn't even ask what your alumni or what your college you went to, but any
Central
of them
Michigan.
Wolverines? Oh, okay. So was that the Chippewas? Is that
It
what?
is the Chippewas. Yeah.
Chippewas.
Fire up
Okay.
chips.
So what is it? Any want to go to Michigan State or
Yeah.
Michigan or any rivalries there in the family?
So our oldest daughter followed her mother to Oakland University. Do you know that
I
mascot?
I, I do not. I don't.
The Golden Grizzlies. And they've made it to the
Okay.
Sweet 16 a couple of times.
Okay.
Yeah. My younger two daughters both went to Kalamazoo College, and my oldest and youngest daughters went to the University of Michigan. Both got their master's degree in social work. Our
Okay.
middle daughter, Emma, went to Columbia and studied at Oxford in the publishing school. So all have gone on to do wonderful things.
It's fantastic. That's awesome.
No
Congratulations.
Chippewas, just me.
Just you. Just you.
Yeah.
Got it. Got it. Um, I guess in closing, John, why should someone want to do business with John Gougeon and Unifi Equipment Finance?
Yeah, so that's the simplest question. It's all about our service. We're all about helping our customers, whether it's a vendor looking to grow his business or an obligor that needs creative structure. And we go about things differently. We offer an app only up to 750,000. We have competitive rates. We have quick credit turnaround times. But most importantly, if someone has a question about their credit application, or if an obligor has a question about their billing cycle, they can pick up the phone, they can talk to Tony McHugh, they can talk to Danielle, they can talk to me. We're all about supporting our customers. We're here to help.
Well, excellent. Well, I really appreciate your time today, John. Thank you for sharing your story and talking about Unifi. Look forward to how the rest of 2026 plays out for you and the team, and how the future of the organization plays out with you at the helm. So thank you
Thanks,
again for your time,
Jesse.
sir.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Sounds good. Look forward to seeing you next week at NIFA.
Yes, sir.
All right. Take care, sir. Thanks.
Thank you.